Christmas Day, 2016. I, a 33-year-old business analyst, found myself lying on a shitty makeshift couch, looking up at porn pictures my roommate Dan plastered around the house before leaving for Texas. As my eyes drifted from the sideways shot of a woman giving a blowjob to the glory hole pic next to it, something told me this was home. I was recently divorced and had spent the previous 6 years raising 2 stepchildren in a small 2-bedroom apartment in North Park. The place was crowded. The kids shared a bedroom, and their dollhouse and play kitchen spilled into the main area. Add a few nieces for a sleepover, and good luck getting privacy in the bathroom. I preferred crowded, though. I grew up in a loud house full of family and renters, and I've always felt more comfortable tripping over people in the kitchen than I have spending the night alone. When my ex moved out, I was relieved at first. He yelled a lot. He even punched holes in the walls sometimes. But the kids were another story. The place felt empty without them. Abandoned. Within a month, I was lonely and struggling to get out of bed. My neighbor Brian helped take my mind off of things. We both worked from home, and he frequently brought his dog over for lunch. He also made a point to check on me. "How you doing, doll?" I stared at his text, wondering if a true response was appropriate. Fuck it. "Well, I'm crying, doing the dishes, and listening to Bright Eyes." Too real, I thought as my phone rang. "I'm coming over. You shouldn't be alone." I was so grateful for him. When Brian decided to move, I brought him some housewarming sushi in an effort to be supportive instead of bitter. The new place was dingy, but covered with cool tapestries and books. We sat on the couch and were making room on the table for our food when his roommates came home. Adam and Sarah were telling me about their recent trip to Burning Man when Johnny interrupted them to brag about his latest internet conquest. We bonded over our love of meeting men online, and before I knew it, he had me bent over the couch humping me. "That's right, let me pound that pussy." I thrust my hips back and knocked him across the room. Then there was Dan, who worked at a 24-hour porn shop, which explains his rather interesting choice in decor. Soon after meeting, he began texting me odd pics late at night. The group reminded me of my friends from high school, always pranking each other and giving each other a hard time. I started hanging around a lot and crashing after parties. When Johnny moved out, Sarah offered me his room. "You might as well, you here all the time anyway." Between 5 roommates, 2 cats, 2 dogs, and a rabbit, I certainly wasn't lonely anymore. We had guests almost every night, and we partied hard. Like, quick move the bong before that guy flies into the table hard. But behind all the fun was the pain of missing the kids. After canceling visits and blowing me off, my ex finally called. His new girlfriend didn't want us talking anymore. There would be no more visits. I wailed, crying myself to sleep, somehow crying even more as I woke up. Then I just shut down. I felt so low, I couldn't even bring myself to care when Adam told me a room was opening up and his old friend Sketch was moving in. Yeah, whatever. Sketch seemed cool enough, but once Adam and Sarah left for an extended trip to Europe, I noticed something was off. "Hey, a friend of mine is going to stop by my room and pick up something," Sketch called from a festival one day. Okay, cool. I'd never met this other guy, but I figured good roommates mind their own business. Sketch returned a few days later. "LIB was so cool. I was filming with my GoPro, and this really hot chick came up to me, and we started making out." He rambled on before heading to his room to drop off his stuff. I was out back with some friends when Sketch walked out, shouting into his phone, "Dude, what the fuck? Where's my money?" My friends and I exchanged a sideways glance. Where the fuck is my money? He walked back inside and slammed his bedroom door. Well, that didn't sound good. Adam and I would need to talk when he got back. I had taken a leave of absence from work, really just trying to learn how to live with this cavernous new hole in my chest. I wrote and hiked and meditated. I couldn't afford the time off, but it was worth it. I was starting to feel like I was on a nice vacation when I got an email from HR requesting a 9 a.m. call. I woke up at 7 and decided to lie back down for a bit, and I was drifting off. The whole house began to shake. Police with a warrant, open up! Police with a warrant, open up! I stumbled halfway across the room before I heard a loud crash. Turn around, put your hands behind your back, walk backwards towards me. Do you have any sharp objects in your pockets? The handcuffs closed, pinching my skin. Do I? Wait, these pajamas don't have pockets. No, I managed to say as they adjusted my cuffs and walked me outside. They sat me on the curb while they put Brian in a car. What's your name and birthday? How many people are inside the house? I'd like a lawyer, please. I somehow pulled myself together. For the sake of everyone's safety, how many people are in the house? If years of watching cop dramas have taught me anything, it's never talk to the police. Sorry, it's nothing personal. They placed me in the backseat of a canine unit on the other side of plexiglass from a police dog. After about 20 minutes, I started shifting in my seat, trying to get comfortable in my handcuffs. The canine lunged against the glass right next to my face. Best not to look at him. I noticed the agents carefully remove a small bag from the trunk of Sketch's car. I got anxious as they carried box after box out of our house. They seemed to have found something, and I was mentally preparing myself to be arrested, or at least interrogated. They were actually quite polite to me. The nicest people to ever knock down my door with guns, I'll tell you. Over the next 4 hours, they let me use the bathroom, gave me water, and took off my cuffs when they became too uncomfortable. White privilege? Or are they trying to get me to drop my guard? Suddenly, they just let us go. No summons, no questions, nothing. Do I get a copy of the warrant? Well, you wouldn't confirm you live here, so we gave it to your friend. Brian and I walked inside and hugged each other tight. The place was trashed. What just happened? As we read the paperwork, we realized they not only took our cell phones and all our electronics, they took our rent money too. We had to try to save the house. I drove to a friend's and called Sketch to let him know what happened. Are you with the police? Fuck no, I'm not with the police. Well, did they take anything from my car? Oh yeah, they took a small bag with something. Don't lie. Are you with the police? Dude, no. Besides, if I was, would you expect me to tell you? Oh yeah, okay. I was just nervous because, whoa, I don't need to know, man. I have no phone, so leave a note at the house if you need me. Oh, I'm never coming back. He hung up. That night I heard a commotion from Sketch's room. Cops? I ran to the room and saw two guys packing up turntables saying Sketch had headed up north. Furious, I got out my new phone and recorded them as they left. Oh, our house was broken into twice in one day, and it didn't look like we'd get any rent from Sketch. I called work the following morning. Sorry I missed your call yesterday. Oh, no worries at all. Listen, I am so sorry to have to do this while you're on leave, but we've decided to consolidate resourcing and you're being laid off. I felt like my life just couldn't get any worse. So I got dressed up and went out. On my way back, I got a text from Brian saying he was picking up Chinese food. Our front door was still broken, so I went through the sliding glass door around the back, and now there were 4 men. They were all over the house. What the hell? Sketch's room is over there. Why are you in Adam's room? The tallest of the men just replied, hey, where's Sketch's money? Why isn't the house a mess if it was raided? Where's the paperwork if there was a raid? Brian has it. Let me just call him. I start to pull out my phone, but then the man pulled out a gun. He cocked it. He snatched my phone. Oh, a very bad thing was happening. Whoa, dude, what the fuck? Tall man's associates freaked out and ran towards the front of the house. Brian cleaned the house. He has the paperwork. Tall, angry man just kept demanding the money. His eyes were dilated, completely void of emotion. Get on the ground. I felt his gun press into the back of my head, so I complied. Where's the money? What money? Where's the money? I don't know. Where's the fucking money? Each time he pressed deeper, I could almost feel the bullet leave the gun. But I was calm. I was happy with how I'd lived my life. Finally, he pulled the gun away. Stay there. How could I get him to believe me? Check the news. The raid should be on the news. Silence. Was anyone in the house? I listened for another moment, and when I heard nothing, I got up. Realized my keys were still in my hand, and I ran outside to my car, barefoot, looking over my shoulder. I drove to the liquor store to call the police, but stopped short of the door. They would want to ask questions. What could they do anyway? Brian would be back any minute. I drove around the block, hoping to intercept him. As I approached, I saw a tall man stomping back towards the house, and we stared at each other as I drove away. I went to a friend's to use their phone yet again, this time to warn Brian, but the tall man was gone before he got home. Well, that's it. I'm never sleeping there again. But it's such a great house. You're really going to let an asshole with a gun intimidate you? Yes. Yes, I am. I was done. I find it funny now that small noises outside make me paranoid. I mean, when the cops show up, you'll know. Sometimes I get stuck thinking of Tall Man's stare and wondering what he would have done if I had listened, if I'd stayed. And I tell myself, it's okay to sleep with the lights on. I'm also aware of how fortunate I am. You always have something to lose, even when it doesn't feel like it. I live with 2 close friends now, and it's peaceful. Think fewer all-night parties, more group trips to Costco. Less stripper pole, more Dungeons and Dragons. We even liked each other enough to move together, and when the time comes to part ways, I think I might try living alone again.
That was VAMP first-timer Melanie Redden.